Okay, while we talk about the markets and stocks which are moving about well, I think it's also important to keep one eye out on the, well, arguably, I would loosely use that term, the beneficiaries of all that's happened, demonetization. And, you know, what are different players saying? What are the advisors saying? What is the body that is associated with all of these players saying? And, you know, the changes that have happened over the last 12 days, if they have, and what can happen over the course of the next 12 odd months as we maybe make an attempt to move from largely a cash-driven society to largely a cashless society. I don't think it can be an all-encompassing complete move, but it could be a large portion of the society as well. Naveen Surya, Chairman, Payments Council of India, joins us right now. And you know, that's the obvious start to the question, right? I mean, one, that the players associated out here would be very, very happy, and different cashless digital players that we've spoken to the last 5 days have all said that their transactions, etc., are going on. But have you seen any kind of disruptions in payment or completion of transactions or otherwise?
I think the disruption is happening multifold, and of course the biggest one is led by RPM itself. So we are all talking about it. So everyone's transactions are growing. The transaction interactions that you would not imagine before, like a pani puri wala or a vegetable vendor, the sudden demand of accepting digital payment has grown actually multifold.
Yeah.
The person who would always say, okay, मैं तो फिर कैसे लेता हूँ, he'll say, okay, please, is there a way I can start accepting?
Yeah.
Can you give me a POS terminal? Can you give me a mobile wallet? Can you give me something?
Like an adoption challenge is no longer one.
Absolutely.
It's the way of life, and
Absolutely.
that's coming pretty quickly.
Absolutely. So I always had this philosophy that physical cash is a disease in our country, even 10 years back. And I think we need to cure it. Somebody needed to solve it from the top, and that's what has happened.
Yeah, in fact, I was just telling Neeraj, you know, some of the companies which had cancelled their payment bank licenses would be doing a rethink on why they perhaps went back on that decision. But, you know, how is this likely to play out in terms of, yes, the transactions have increased, but in terms of the kind of regulation that one is kind of stepping up on, given just the increase in volume? I mean, how is your interaction with the payment bank owners changing in terms of, you know, what you're advising them to do to scale up to the rising opportunity?
So one, I think the beneficiary is every player, whether it's a bank or a let's say e-wallet player or a payment bank, or a small finance bank. Every player who's a part of digital payment ecosystem today is growing. Now our interaction with regulators, I think it's been highly proactive. If you see yesterday's guidelines, it's actually has happened in like matter of 3 days. We all realize that there is a completely new ecosystem of the merchant who were earlier not willing to adopt are suddenly asking. These are not traditional shops. These are individual self-employed people, mechanics, vegetable vendors. They need a very different type of let's say, approach to enroll them in this. So we actually went, talked to the regulator, and they were so proactive that you suddenly see a new kind of a wallet created for them, where they can accept money up to 20,000 rupees, keep the balances up to 20,000 rupees. Up to 50,000 rupees they can just transfer into a bank account. All they need to do is at the time of enrollment, they need to make sure that a particular bank which they're going to use, which is their own, they just link it. And I think RBI has allowed it proactively to start receiving this money digitally. Because one key change, so theme that we see is that our country has done demonetization, we can move back to currency, or there is a choice. Instead of doing that, we drive it to digitization. I think our government, regulator and the industry seeing that this is a unique opportunity which has created demand. And we've always seen that once a person has gone digital, like all of us, we've used a credit card, couple of times you start using it continuously.
The way is forward, definitely.
So our belief is that if this is an opportunity to bring complete different set of people in, once they come in, they experience it in this next 50 days, they would stick to it. But this is a great experience and a better experience than cash.
Could you put numbers in terms of the opportunity size and how much is translated?
Sure. So I think the industry currently in terms of digital payment, if you look at the retail payments in the country, is about $2 trillion, of which about 10% happens digitally, right? If you look at now the breakup of different players, how different players stack up in the 10% of digital. You have credit card, who's about, let's say, close to about 30% of the payments. You have debit card, which is another about 30%. You have net banking, which is about close to 20%. Remaining 20% is all the authorized payment service provider, e-wallet companies like all us, right? So this is how it is. Now, if you look at the growth rate in last 3 years, the credit card has been around 20-30%. Debit card has been around close to 40%. Net banking has been about 25 to 30%. all these e-wallet companies like us has been growing at already 60-70%. What it means is that this step that has happened, if you look at this 10%, and if we compare ourselves with the BRICS countries, we are actually at about 10 while everyone else is moved at 30 to 50. Now, if without demonetization, we would have probably reached 50 in probably 5+ years. With this happening, now you can suddenly believe, hey, by the way, we can reach there probably in 2 to 3 years. What does it mean? At the industry CAGR level, what was at an average of about 60-70% is suddenly likely to be about 200%.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it's cash, and it's cash. I'm sure the growth numbers are as high as he's voting for. So all the best for that. And I mean, so good of you to join us and just explain this. I mean, we can get into a detailed discussion for hours together, but there is a market at hand, so we'll have to address that. But thank you so much for taking the time out and being with us today.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that's of course Naveen Surya. He's chairman of the Payment Council, also the MD of It's Cash, which is the
Peer company.
Peer. Paytm, It's Cash, and a few others are exactly in the same line, and they foresee that the growth rates will pick up quite substantially. By the way, just take back to what the equity market